The following podcast contains spoilers for Tokyo Godfathers. You have been warned.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I just started choking when I did that. Welcome back to another episode of KFR Holiday Radio. This is your host, Glen Button, along with your host, Miguel Magusto.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I look good and I feel good.
You always look good, and I mean, I don't know how you feel internally, but externally you feel fantastic all the time.
I exist, and that's enough.
Yes.
Oh, man. It's actually not as hot this time. Last week I was sweating my ass off in what I had.
Yeah, it's
surprisingly, so far I'm okay. Yeah. But that might change because of the attire that I'm wearing this time.
Yes.
Which you shall see in the future. But
yeah, I'll see when I edit it.
Just know I look like a fucking asshole.
I'm wearing the same thing I would wear if it was summer.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because honestly, last year I wore a different Christmas sweater for every episode. Mm-hmm. Forgot about that. Forgot that I did that. So
shame.
Just been wearing t-shirts. But yes, Glenn, what movies have you seen the past couple weeks since we last recorded?
Oh, goodness gracious. Movies? That's a funny thing you should ask because I have only seen one. And that just looked like a fucking dickhead. And that was with you, my friend. And we have a review for that up on the interwebs of the YouTube.
Yes, we do.
But other than that, I watched the Penguin Show from the old, it's a little spin-off series from the Batman movie with good old Robert Pattinson, starring good old Colin Farrell, otherwise known as, I wouldn't even call him great value Tony Soprano. He's pretty much like on brand, just like a different flavor, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was actually surprisingly, I wouldn't necessarily say surprisingly good show, but it didn't really pique my interest when it came out, and then it was getting pretty good reviews. I was like, okay, maybe I'll give it a try. And I actually did recommend it to you because I think you would like it, and it's only 8 episodes long, and you know, we here liked the Batman movie
we did.
For the most part. And, it was pretty fucking good. Yeah, I don't know if how many more spinoffs they'll do or if they will, but this was actually a nice little breath of fresh air from most DC stuff that's came out over the years.
That's always nice.
And there was that. And then, of course, I watched Tokyo Godfathers, which we shall get into momentarily. But, Michael, what did you get into, my friend?
I watched a handful of movies. A handful and 2. If we're assuming 5 is a handful. So, obviously, watched Heretic with you. We have a review for that up on the YouTubes. Then, I had my very first movie marathon.
Oh, yes, you did.
My wife doesn't agree with me. Because to me, a movie marathon is 4 movies or more. I have seen 3 movies in one day.
Yes.
3 times since my oldest son was born. But this was my first 4 movie day since my first son was born. Which was,
I would agree that 3 is definitely a marathon.
3 is like, I don't know.
That's a whole trilogy, man. If you watch, that's a marathon of movies.
It depends on the length of the movies to me.
Or if you want to be specific, we can say 5 movies is a marathon. Straight up 5K, that bitch.
No, it's 4.
I refuse.
Now let's say like if it were 3 3-hour movies, I would agree that is a marathon. But all the movies that I did see it's a length of time, not a because let's say you got 3 90-minute movies. That's only 4.5 hours. That's like 2 normal length movies. And so it's an overly complicated algorithm that I've created in my head just for the sake of an argument. No, but I saw 4 movies in one day. We're getting way off topic here.
We're right on it.
Yeah, I saw the movie Here. Robert Zemeckis, Tom Hanks, Robin Wright. It's that movie. Everyone's probably seen the trailer. The entire thing takes place in a living room and is from one angle of said living room. except for sometimes it takes place outside before the house was built.
What the hell?
Yes. It was not good.
Ooh.
I admire the attempt and the swing, the miss, but it felt like a boomer being sentimental, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people out there that are going to like this, but like,
and that is
okay. So
who created the movie? So that's
So
on track.
let me just slight spoiler. If you skip ahead like a minute, if you don't want to hear this about here, the whole thing is about like this couple, and that's the main story. At least there's definitely a bunch of smaller stories, and it's about how much they sacrifice for their family and all that. And the whole message of the story is, isn't life great? Except for their life fucking sucks.
No.
And the only happiness they have is taken away at the end.
Is it the house?
No, it's not the house. Well, kind of, but that's more of a, they're willing to get rid of it. But yeah, so it's just like, we're supposed to feel happy about their life when their life sucks. They give up all their dreams. Both of them give up their dreams. And it's just a very boomer mentality. It's like, look what I sacrificed. Like, you didn't need to sacrifice your hobbies for a family.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, you didn't get the job you wanted, but you could still paint on the weekends, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing, man?
Paint on the weekends, Tom Hanks.
Bob Ross it.
Yes.
No, I was going to say you were Bob Ross, but that was it was not Bob Ross.
No, it was not.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, overall, I see. I got to admire the take there, but it just didn't work for me. Made me hate life for a little bit, but I got over that. And then I saw a movie called A Real Pain, written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg, starring him and Kieran Culkin, about two cousins that go on a Holocaust tour of Poland, which is where their family is from. Really good. Highly suggest people check that out. Kieran Culkin's great. Jesse Eisenberg's great. And yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but I suggest people check that out. Then I saw Conclave with Ray Fiennes, and other people who Stanley Tucci's in there, the Tooch.
Ooh, the Toochster.
Yeah, and the whole thing is like the Pope dies, and it is all the cardinals getting together to vote for a new Pope. But there's some skullduggery about, and Ray Fiennes' character is kind of like trying to figure out what political bullshit is happening. And it's the only time I've ever cared about the Catholic Church, so
understandable.
It did that, I grew up in a religious household, but thankfully it wasn't Catholic. I'm sorry to all Catholics out there. Your sermons are boring. And the fact that you have to listen to people in Italy is bullshit as well.
I can already hear people on the other side just go, nah.
I edit wedding videos from time to time, and every time it's a Catholic sermon, I want to blow my brains out.
Bada
They're
bing.
so boring. Oh my God.
That's a hell of a way to spice up that video.
But anyway, yeah, Catholicism, you're fine. You're fine, but it's the only time I cared about the Pope, and it's really interesting, and I highly suggest people check that out. Directed by the guy who also did the German version of All Quiet on the Western Front, his first movie since that, so if you're a fan of his, check that out. Then I saw Honora, which is a Sean Baker movie, starring Mikey Madison and a bunch of Russian and Armenian people. It's about this exotic dancer / escort who gets married to a Russian kid. Well, he's not a kid; he's 21, but like he's a rich kid, so he acts like a rich bullshit
He's a rich
douchebag kid. And it's just the shenanigans that happen with that. Really good. Highly suggest people check that out. So Island of Lost Souls, which is the first film adaptation of The Island of Dr. Moreau, which we did last year, I believe. We did the 90s version of that film. This one was good for a 1932 film. It's got all the same problems that a 1930s film had, early 30s.
Understandable.
Where, it's just they didn't have the technology to do what they wanted to do. Can't fault them for it. But other than that, it was pretty good. And then I watched Tokyo Godfathers, which we're going to get into right now.
This bundle of joy is a Christmas present sent from God. She's our baby now.
You know what sounds a lot weirder? The fact we have a crying baby in here.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but what can we do about it?
Find her parents.
You want to find her parents? You're trying to play house when we're three good-for-nothing bums who can't even look after ourselves.
Yeah, it's a Christmas miracle.
On Christmas Eve, 3 homeless people living on the streets of Tokyo discover a newborn baby among the trash and set out to find its parents. Directed by Shogo Furuya and Satoshi Kon, written by Satoshi Kon and Kaiko Nobumoto. It is voiced by Toru Imori, Yoshiaki Umegaki, and Aya Okamoto, and that is all I'm going to say for now.
Those are the 3 main characters, so it's
yes.
okay.
So the first time I heard about this was last year when I was making a list of movies for Glen to pick, because that's how I've gotten lazy. I've had Glen pick my movies just because I have so many I want to talk about on this podcast. I googled obscure Christmas movies because I don't want to do the normal ones. And this was one that came up, and it came on the list. And then, of course, Glen, to no fault of his own, I admit, he picked a random number, and it was Love Actually, the one that I least wanted to watch. And we know how that turned out.
Yep.
So I thought I would take the chance out of this year and just pick it for my goddamn self like a big boy.
Yeah, Glenn has no fun. He can't pick no number no more.
Exactly. Well, you will next year, starting next year again. But yeah, so... I really wanted to watch this after hearing about it, and had to wait a whole goddamn year to do it. But yeah, we know how I feel about anime. I'm not necessarily in love with anime. I really would love to like anime because there's a lot of anime movies out there, but for the most part, they irritate me. Usually because of the animation frame rate. And I know that doesn't bother most people, but it bothers me, and also the pacing is a huge issue.
I have a feeling that was a problem for you in this one, too.
I was just going to say, it was not. Wait, which
really?
one? The frame rate or the pacing?
The frame rate, actually.
Oh, frame rate, yes. Frame rate was the only thing I didn't like about it. But the pacing, I thought, was chef's kiss.
It's super mwah, like double cheek.
Yes. Yes. Mwah, mwah.
Straight up Italian grandmother just greeting you when you walk in the door.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's just like from start to finish, there's like essentially no stopping. And I feel like, for better or for worse, a lot of anime films that I've seen are reflective, which I love reflective movies, but not when they're animated. I don't know why. I'm a weird guy.
You just have a hate, man. You have a hate.
I do.
You need to let it out.
I was so on board from the get-go, but especially when I found out that one of the homeless people was a trans woman, because I just knew that she was going to bring the sass, and it was going to be
too.
It was going to be funny. Yeah, it was going to be super funny. And what I didn't think was going to happen is that when she snaps to her masculine side, it was going to be like a fever dream every single time.
Yeah,
with the animation with her veins popping and all that. I thought it was great. I don't even know if I have any negative things to say about it. But Glenn, before I even get too deep into it, what were your initial thoughts about it?
Okay. So I've actually, looking at it, I've never heard of this movie before last year. And I only heard of this movie last year because it got re-released in theaters.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming that there was the English dub, but I remember being at KOP and seeing the poster on the wall, and I was like, oh shit, I could probably go see that. I never did.
Yeah.
Joke's on me. But I hadn't known this was a thing. I thought it was just released last year. So to my surprise, 20 years ago, or, probably what happened is the 20-year release and they re-released it for theaters. That's probably what happened. It was probably a dub. But matter of factly, there probably wasn't a dub because there wasn't any on the streaming services. So I was majorly confused, especially when I edited last week and the trailer was dubbed, but nothing in any of the streaming services were dubbed. Very confusing times I lived in when I booted this movie up. But yeah, again, never heard of this movie before, so I was in for a little surprise. I will admit that I was very distracted when I got home and started this movie, but once it got the ball rolling, I was on the movie like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because
I'm the same way.
I guess I have, ADHD or something. I've got to have something on my other screen.
We got to get you diagnosed.
I need to just get rid of a monitor. If I get rid of my right monitor, I could fully focus on my main monitor.
I didn't realize you watched it on computers.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this fucking TV back here, but this seat that behind me it became uncomfortable because it's too worn in. So that's on me. But so I watch movies at my computer, and I'm looking at this fucking. I can't not have something blank on my right monitor. Don't know. It's just
Have you
the
tried
mindset.
just turning that monitor off?
Hell no, and don't ever give me that idea again. My monitors need to feel homely. Yeah.
Sometimes when I edit, if I only I have 3 monitors. Sometimes when I edit, if I only want 2 monitors, I keep one of them off an adult.
If I had 3 monitors, my fucking mind would explode of just like, I got YouTube over here, I got fucking HBO or something, watching for the movies, and then I need sports or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get into sports with a 3rd monitor. I don't fucking know.
From left to right, I have when I edit, I have my playback monitor, I have my timeline and editing monitor, and then on the right is like if I need to download music or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if I'm doing something that I can listen to Spotify
stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm an organized machine here.
You're a little fucking man. Anyway, so once the ball kind of got rolling, I readjusted myself to get in focus on the actual movie. And once it did get rolling, it was, and not like it was like that it wasn't rolling from the get-go. It was just my mindset. But anyway, enough of the fucking rolling in my attention span. I thought this movie was awesome.
So did I.
It had me a little freaked out because they were throwing an F slur around. The homosexual. I longed that because I didn't want to just say the shortened version of it. It had me a little scared, but you could tell it was like a little banter between the two.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I hate to be that guy. 2003 was a different time.
Yeah, it totally was.
And also, it's a translation. Like, they're not actually saying the words; they're saying the Japanese equivalent of those words.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the translation is those slurs. And it never makes it justified. Yes, Hannah never sticks up for herself when he says that, but you can tell that that's just kind of like their rapport.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I obviously we're not part of the LGBTQ community. I wouldn't be shocked if there's, people out there that don't care if people use that word, just like there are.
There's definitely.
Yeah. I mean,
I know
for a fact.
As long as there's no hatred in it, like in the voice of it.
I know for a fact that my father-in-law is Chinese, and he, if it's not used in hate, does not mind the slur for Chinese people, which I'm not going to say because I don't need a recording of me saying that on the internet. But you know it. Yeah, and he doesn't mind to the point where like my wife didn't know that was a slur for a very long time.
She's just
her
innocent.
stepfather. It's her stepfather, so she's not part Chinese. She's as white as can be. She's whiter than me.
She is whiter than you. She's whiter than me.
Yeah, but it's. Yeah, so there are definitely people in every group that don't mind as long as it's not used in hate when people use those words. So it could be that situation. But yeah, when that came up, it's especially reading it, it's always just like, whoa, okay, we're here, okay. And then you make the adjustment. Obviously, don't add it to your vocabulary. But
you put that pen down right now.
You get past it, essentially.
Yeah, and it's super quick, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, at first that took me a little aback. I was like, "Oh shit, okay." But you can clearly see they have a friendship. They're cool together. Obviously, he's saying this shit because he was annoyed with him or her at the time. But like, I loved the pacing because it never, like you said, it never kind of stood still. I think I just smelled burnt toast for a second. It never stood still. So it always kept you moving and always had you moving on to the next thing and on to the next plot line. And that was good because then you weren't just sitting there, staring off to your right monitor. But I loved all the characters from the get-go. Especially Hana, and then definitely Miyuki. Jin I liked a lot, but not nearly as much as the other two.
They all had like
all
three-dimensional aspects.
Yeah.
But he was definitely the most two-dimensional of them all. Mm-hmm. Of course, adding the fact that he was lying about what happened to his family added a little more depth to it. Mm-hmm. But through the majority of the movie, he was just like the sad, angry guy, whereas everyone else was kind of
everybody was more different, and he was more kind of relatable in some ways.
He was the foundation of the group. Which, if you're the foundation of something, you have to be the most stable. So in a way, he was the most stable.
Mm-hmm. And most connected to real life. Miyuki was just a teenage girl that ran away from home. Hana's a transgender woman, so it's not as much connection to based, what's the word? Just cis male. That's I guess you could say. Yeah. He's kind of just the normal person in ways besides the lying and shit that he does. But yeah, fucking don't know where I was going with that, but here we are. I could literally see my wheels turn on camera. That was insane.
I was really liking this movie. I was liking it from beginning to end, but it really grabbed my attention at the assassination attempt at the wedding.
Yeah,
I was just there was the last thing I was expecting to happen at that wedding. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I definitely. I'm sorry, I actually cut you off. Keep going.
No, I was just gonna say, from that moment on, that's kind of when it gets really chaotic. It's kind of one movie that comes to mind is any Safdie Brothers movie, Good Time or Uncut Gems. There's always that moment where it's hectic the whole time, but then there's that moment where it just goes batshit insane.
Yeah,
and that was the moment that happened, and it never got to the point where I wanted the story to resolve itself until it did resolve itself, and I thought it was a great ending. And it's weird. It's not weird. It's not often. I would say maybe 5% of movies that there's never a point where you're okay, it's time for this to end. Yeah. Where you're on the ride the whole time, and you're okay when it ends, but you aren't waiting for it to end. Even movies that I love, sometimes I'm just okay, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, we can get there already.
Yeah. And it's that's why I gave this 5 stars on Letterboxd, because it's the 5-star movies that I have. Which I think we'll
never know if you're putting this on the shelf for sure.
No, I despise it, but I admit that it has high quality. No, but it's less than 1% of the movies that I watch that I rate 5 stars.
Yeah,
and it's the 5-star ones that I didn't care if it wrapped up. But, thought the wrapping up was good.
Well, that was
the clunkiest way to put that, but what I'm saying.
I understand. It's so cool the way it feels like a domino effect, of connections. I mean, obviously they're searching. Obviously, the plot. Did they find a baby, and they're trying to search for its parents, or send it to the police, which is what some of the group wanted to do, but Hana did not. They wanted to find its parents, her parents.
Well, at first she wanted to keep it for herself.
Yes.
Then, of course, once she slept, she was like, "That is stupid. We got to find the parents."
Yep. And more for both Hana and the baby's sake, because Hana, what was it? She never got to meet her mother. Yeah. So for both Hana and the baby's sake, she needed to find the mother. To apologize, basically. But I liked how in a lot of movies they do that connection thing where it's different different characters, and like you'll see their stories. Like what is that one movie? The big movie that's like The Connection. Like they all are. Babel's one of them, where everybody's connected in some way, but they're all different characters from different parts of the world and shit like that. What is that fucking
Love Actually.
movie? Yes, that's one of them. But what's the fucking? It doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying?
Who's in it? We're gonna figure this out.
Everybody.
Oppenheimer.
Well, yeah, kind of. I'll figure it out while searching. But let me get my.
Okay. Sorry. You know me. I just love figuring out movies.
We'll figure it out. But what I'm getting at is this felt like that type of movie where, like everybody's connected in some sort of way, but in that sense, everybody's like around the main characters that are doing this, and not like, oh, let's go from the point of view to this person, Brad Pitt, or let's go to this person. It was like everything was happening in that connectivity to these guys, if that makes sense. And I thought that was way better than, going to 18 different characters and finding the plot point. Like the baby would be that plot point.
Yeah.
I'm glad they kept it grounded between the trio and the baby, and everything came to them. And like every step domino affected to getting to the end goal here, which was finding the kid's parents. I thought that was fucking phenomenal. And it paced so well, and everything came together so well. It was a little Christmas miracle in a lot of sense. And now my brain's going to turn off so I could find this movie.
Yeah. It's a very, without being like, shove it down your throat, kind of a religious movie where it opens with a nativity scene, and the Hana is into watching the nativity scene, but of course Jin...
Crash!
Crash, yeah.
I needed that off my chest.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you figured it out. I wish I was more involved in figuring it out, but we'll save that for another day. But so yeah, Hana is watching the nativity scene. Jin is like kind of over it, and then Miyuki it isn't even there. Like she just skipped it.
Yeah.
So it kind of like puts you in they're not religious, and in a way you could look at this as, and not to get I don't consider myself religious at all, but if you could see it as them ignoring the miracles that are happening, as like they're actually signs from God, or you could see that they're signs from God. They're either not, or they're just coincidence. It's one of those things you could see it as coincidence, or miracles. I think in the movie they're supposed to be miracles, but if that happened in real life, it'd be like, oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah, that's kind of especially the whole night of all those coincidences.
Yeah. So I just thought that was cool that like everything they literally kept walking past the things that they needed to walk past. It's also a very sad movie about when it comes to like the livelihoods of homeless people.
Yes.
Like the old man that Jin runs into when Hana goes looking. I think Hana's looking for Miyuki, and Jin kind of goes off on his own and runs into that old man.
Yes,
and then they get beat up.
Miyuki got kidnapped by the assassin.
Yeah.
So Hana was looking for the obviously Miyuki.
Yeah.
And then Jin just dipped out because he got annoyed after a phone call.
I get it, honestly.
I forget why he got annoyed, but I think he was... God, I just watched the movie and I already forget. I think he was de-stressing about his daughter or something, and then he called himself trash.
Yeah, something like that.
And then he just wandered.
Yeah, he was down on his self and all that. But it was just so sad when those kids, those teenagers, were like beating him up and not even realizing the old man was dead, and just like
and just
fucking with his
him
body
with a bar.
Yeah, it is really just. I mean, I don't know if things like that happen anymore. I know that they did when there was that guy that got arrested for selling videos of bum fights and all that.
Yeah.
And people still treat homeless people like trash. It's disgusting, honestly. And like, I get it. Yeah, they're not aesthetically pleasing, but it's not your fucking city. Like, you live in that city, but it's not your city. It's everyone's city. So
Stop beating up bums, guys.
Stop beating
What
up
the
bums.
fuck?
Yeah.
But actually, that sounded sarcastic. Don't do that. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. Don't beat up anyone.
Yeah, it does a great job of telling so many different stories and paths or walks of life. Especially when Hana ends up going to the Angel Tower, the transgender like bar karaoke thing that was going on there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was more than that, but I don't know how else to describe it. And they do her story very well, and they did everybody's story well. Miyuki had a great story, and the best part about the whole, it wraps everybody's stories up so naturally and supernaturally because of all the Christmas miracles that are happening. But it felt so cohesive the way it was all flowing. Like, it felt natural that they ran into these things. Also supernatural. I don't know how I would explain that. They're both, like, it felt natural that they walked into them, but it was like, holy shit, that's such good timing that happened.
Yeah, really.
But it flowed so fucking well. Everybody was great. All the characters, side characters, everybody was great. And goddamn, was it a hard-hitting story overall.
Yeah. It's got plenty of like light moments sprinkled in, mostly from Hana. She was my favorite part of this film completely. Every single time things got too serious or things didn't go her way 100% perfectly, she got so dramatic.
Especially in the hospital.
In the hospital. I forget when I think it was in the hospital. When she thought she was dying or something. Again, I just watched this too and I don't remember, but I wrote down the line, just say you'll never forget the queer you once knew.
I don't remember that part either.
I think it was when she was in the hospital and she's like, just go on. Just go on. Just say.
Oh, no, it was... Oh, fuck. They were on their way somewhere.
Okay.
I think it was to the cemetery. And then that's when she spotted the cemetery.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
And
or it was on the way somewhere, and then she spotted the cemetery.
Just filled with so many lines like that.
Or Miyuki did.
Just so great.
Yeah.
And then when they were searching for the baby, after the fake mom that stole her from the hospital took her.
And that was such a good little twist, too.
It was, yeah. It wasn't not being the real mom. And there's one shot of a baby, like a mom holding a baby, and then you just see this giant head of Hana coming in, and she's just like, she's just so freaked out. She's like, I died laughing at that. It was just so funny. If I can find it, I'm gonna try to put it in the edit here. But I lost my shit when that happened, and there's just so many moments like that where, it's the. I'm again not an expert, but like the typical anime thing where they're just like yelling at each other and they look like so deranged yelling at each other.
Yeah. The most expressive they did her face was definitely the hospital.
Yeah.
Where she's freaking out on Jin for not telling the truth. To his daughter.
But yeah, I love this movie. I don't really have too much else to say, but I had high expectations for it, yet it still exceeded them. Yeah. And it might be my favorite anime movie now. Sorry, My Neighbor Totoro.
I feel like that's an understandable thing, honestly.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched that movie.
It's good. It's really good. And you know me. You know me in anime movies. I've only mentioned it 5 times.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much more about it. I feel like this is a movie people should experience, especially around the holidays, because it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Christmas. It takes place during that. It's
a very Christmas-like movie, though, where, they're trying to do something for someone other than yourself.
And the miracles that happen.
Yeah, like they didn't want any money. They just wanted to do what was right, even if it was a little bit delayed. And the miracles that are happening. It's a very Christmassy movie with Christmas being such a small part of it.
Yeah, and then it ends on New Year's. They wrapped it. They did everything before the New Year rang in. Well, I guess it did ring in at the very end of it, but I don't know. It was just a very wholesome movie and very, honestly, I didn't have high expectations, but I didn't have low expectations. I just kind of went into it. And honestly, I was blown away with how good it was. I was very happy with it.
Me too.
Me too.
You got anything else?
I think that's about it.
All right, so that does it for a review of Tokyo Godfathers. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether it goes to KFR Show with Legs of Possible Handmaiden. This was my pick, so I get to go first. I rated this 5 stars, but I fucking hated it. It's so horrible.
Oh, God, I feel that with every vein in my
They barely
body.
talk about Christmas at all. There's no mention of Santa Claus. They have someone sleeping during the nativity scene. It's so disrespectful. It's a fucking great movie.
What the fuck?
I'm gonna add this to my. I don't usually watch the same Christmas movies every year. It's like a 2-year rotation for me. So I'm going to add this to my 2-year rotation.
Oh, there you go.
But yes, it absolutely.
You already knocked it out this year.
Yeah,
So.
it absolutely goes on the KFR shelf for me.
I would wholeheartedly agree. This movie is dog shit. So much dog shit that I picked it up and I didn't put it in the trash. And it's not dog shit. It was perfect in every way. So I kept that dog shit.
You licked that up just like Peanut eats her own poop.
Oh, Peanut, why you do that? Amazing movie in every sort of way, and would recommend anybody, holiday or not, honestly. If I can watch the movie, 100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So,
Yes.
Tokyo Godfathers goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaid, and that brings us to our final movie of the year. Our last episode for 2024, and it is Glen's pick. What Christmas or holiday, it doesn't have to be Christmas, what holiday movie is we going to be watching?
I was looking up, I kind of took the same route you did with this one, but I kind of went for a movie. I had no idea what it was. And apparently it is a Christmas movie, or at least takes place during Christmas. Probably like Die Hard in some sort of way, but has nothing to do with it. So the movie we're going to be watching is 1999's Go.
So what are you up to tonight?
We're going to this party tonight, this warehouse thing.
Some sort of rave thing.
Is this gonna be cool?
Yeah, I guess.
Does the British guy still work here?
We went to Vegas for the weekend.
The British guy usually hooks us up.
Let me see what I can do. Give me a number.
I can't believe you're selling allergy medicine.
Oh, we're out of that. We're down to chewable aspirin.
I think I feel something.
It's really smooth, isn't it?
So now you're an entrepreneur.
You shouldn't do this, Rana.
Just drive.
Well, if you gotta go.
You know what I like best about Christmas?
Mistletoe?
The surprises.
When there's nothing to do
So, Zach, would you say you're open to new things?
except what you've done.
Is your British ass happy now?
When you've gone too far to stop.
There's no body, there's no crime. We'll put her in the trunk. Stop! What? Stop it! What? It's a Miata!
Go.
It's all right, I'm okay.
The aftermath of a drug deal as told from 3 points of view. So basically what I was talking about, with Crash, where I'm guessing shit's going down. I don't think it actually has anything to do like that. But
this is a Christmas movie?
it takes place during Christmas.
Okay.
So
It's
that.
like the Die Hard scenario.
Yeah, it has probably nothing to do with Christmas. I don't even know if they show a fucking tree, but who knows? I kind of wanted to. We already saw Let It Snow. It's hitting the holiday cheer. You picked a fucking banger. Let me pick a shitter. I don't know if it's actually a shitter. It's got a 7.2 on IMDb, so hopefully it's got some good praises and we'll be able to maybe like it. But directed by Doug Liman, written by John August, stars Sarah Polley, Jay Moore, Scott Wolf, Tay Diggs, Katie Holmes, Suzanne Kroll, Desmond Askew, Nathan Bexton, Robert Peters, Timothy Oliphant, Jodie Bianca Wise. There's a fuck ton of people in this, and William Fichtner. Yeah, I have no idea what the fucking movie's about in the slightest. I've never heard of it in my life. I was 6 years old when it came out. Oh, Melissa McCarthy's in there too. I don't know if I said that. So yeah, we're going to have hopefully some good luck with a random poll that I just found off Google for unconventional Christmas movies.
Yes.
Yes, my dear friend. So there it is.
Oh, there it is.
But
Hold on. Wait.
Oh, did you find the screen grab?
I found it. Oh, no.
Oh.
Right. Oh, so terrifying.
Oh, my God.
Oh, goodness.
I'm witnessing it now.
Yes. Thank God my light's magnetic because it just fell and got stuck right on my desk. So yeah, go.
Yeah, so this is going to be on Pluto TV for free, and it's on a bunch of subscriptions and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think you basically have to have Paramount for all these subscriptions. But on the subscriptions, it's either on Paramount, YouTube, Hulu, Fubo, Sling, Roku, Amazon, YouTube, all those other ones. Yes. But free on Pluto TV. That's the big one.
Yes. So we are ending the holiday spectacular and the last episode of 2024 with the least Christmassy movie that is technically a Christmas movie. Die Hard's more Christmassy than this, it seems. But anyway,
most likely is.
So, Go is our assignment for the last episode, which will come out in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I'm Mike, KFR.
And I'm Glen, KFR.
And that will do it until next episode, where we get in the Christmas spirit by watching something about a drug deal told from 3 different points of view.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.